This is a story about Billy Connolly's yacht called the Takapuna. Now, the Takapuna was a lovely big yacht. It was a sailing boat. It was 120 feet long. What's that about? Oh, about 35 meters or something? Oh, at least that anyway. And his lovely wife, called Pamela Stevenson, and he decided, well, it was actually Pamela's idea, that they were going to retrace on the footsteps of Pamela's grandfather, Robert Louis Stevenson, when he came out from the UK, and he went and visited on his sailing boat. He called in, or not his boat, but the boat he was chartered or whatever, and retraced his voyage. It stopped off at the Galapagos, and then they did another couple of places at Bora Bora and near Tahiti, and then they went around, and one of the places, of course, he stopped at was Samoa, and this is before he settled in Samoa. And the Takapuna, the ship, stopped it there, and I was well known that I was the captain of the ship that went to the Tokalaus, and their next stop was going to be the Tokelau, following in the footsteps again of Robert Louis Stevenson. And Pamela found out about this, and she gave me a ring. She got my number from somebody, and she said, we'd like to come aboard tomorrow for a cup of tea. I said, yeah, sure, lovely. So I duly went aboard the Takapuna the next day and got a cup of tea on the afterdeck. Beautiful boat, all teak decks, and there was they had about 10 crew. There was a captain, skipper, and there's a first mate, and there was an engineer. There was 2 cooks and the stewardesses. And anyway, I got my cup of tea, and then Billy Connolly himself came out. Now, I think everybody's heard of Billy Connolly, but he's a very, very famous Scottish comedian. And he came out, and he obviously didn't have to introduce himself. He shook my hand, and he didn't offer me a drink, because Billy used to be a great drinker, and he doesn't drink anymore after Pamela gave him his last warning, either me or the booze. So he had a cup of tea as well, and he offered me a cigar, which, lovely, very great selection of Cuban cigars. So that was great. So we had a Cuban cigar, and we talked and talked, and then I left, and I get a call the next day from Pamela again saying, Billy wants you to come along for the trip to Tokelau. So there we are. So about a week later, after they decided to leave, I duly got my big game fishing rod and my diving gear, because they're all keen divers, and they had a compressor on board. And we said, I put my game fishing rod out before we got to the first island, which was Whakaofo. And believe it or not, I caught, or I landed, or didn't landed, but I got to the boat, my first marlin. I've been trying for a long time to catch a marlin, and this is just my first one. Since then, I've hooked about 100 and landed about 20, but this is my first marlin. I got right to the boat, alongside the boat, and of course it slowed down, and I played this fish, and it was a big fish. It was, I mean, it wasn't a huge marlin, but it was at least probably about 80 kilos, and maybe altogether about 10 feet long. And I got it right to the side of the boat, and I obviously, let's get it on board and chop it up so we can have some fresh fish and give some to the five pulleys and the chiefs and the elders at the Whakaofo. And then, a great wailing from behind me. And it was the 2 cooks And the stewardesses, and they would say, "Oh, please, please, no, no, don't let it go, let it go, let it go." And Pamela sort of nodded to me. Oh, so there we are. So unfortunately, well, bent over, we pulled the hook out, and the fish swam away. So that was it. That was my first marlin, and it's probably a good thing it swam away, but certainly pleased the crew. I'm going to talk more about the Takapuna in another video, but that's the first marlin I landed. Okay.